Hey everyone, Christina here, Ginger Mama. So, since the beginning of my journey, I have tried my best to follow Spirit. And tonight I did a post on greed and wealth, and Spirit led me to this passage. It's marked, of course, in my Bible. And I want to read it for you. And we all need money to live. I understand that. God understands that. But there is a difference between greed and pretending to be something you are not. And I pray that I am delivering this appropriately and correctly. I am reading Jesus Christ's own words. This starts at Matthew 23:23, which I want to look up the angel number. It symbolizes spirituality, love, and twin flames. I'd like to point out also that I have not hashtagged any content on this platform. Go look for any video I have not. Nor did I in my previous account. God has guided me divinely, and I speak wholeheartedly. And if you believe yourself to be some kind of twin flame, prophet, whatever this might be, you might listen to these words. For there is ignorance in some, even if they claim they mean well. Matthew 23:23. Jesus' words are in red. Jesus does not speak often in the Bible, by the way. This is a big book. I encourage you to get a Bible where it's highlighted where Jesus Christ himself speaks. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. People to see, such as hashtagging. It gets better, especially those of you who grew up with a father in the church. They make their phallus. I wanted to look this word up earlier. Hold on. Because again, I'm sharing this in real time. Phylactery, a small leather box containing Hebrew texts on vellum, worn by Jewish men at morning prayer and as a reminder to keep the law. So they wear these wide and the tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth Father. Jesus Christ himself says, and do not call anyone on earth Father. I grew up Catholic. We were required to call priests Father. Just so you know, that goes directly against Christ himself. And do not call anyone on earth Father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor are you to call instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Moves forth. The 7 woes on the teachers of the law of the Pharisees. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Woe to you, teachers, by the way, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. The homeless that come to your establishments, those that need help, shelter, food, etc. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You travel over land and sea to win a single convert. You travel over land and sea to get a single convert. Did you do that? Did you travel? I thought it was part of your mission. No, it is not. And when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much a child of hell as you are. Woe to you, blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing. But anyone who swears by the gold of the temple is bound by that oath. You blind fools! Which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing. But anyone who swears by the gift on the altar is bound by that oath. Again, we're talking about swearing. A lot of people come at me for swearing. It must not be spiritual. Listen to Jesus Christ calling people this, discussing this. Fools, ignorant, perverse, dull. You blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it and by everything on it. And anyone who swears by the temple swears by it and the one who dwells within it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and by the one who sits upon it. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees! You hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices. You tithe. You give in the belief that God will give back to you. That is what tithing means. Mint, dill, and cumin. But you have neglected the more important matters of the law: justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. Without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat by swallowing a camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees! First clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will be clean. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to the people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead and complete what your ancestors started. You snakes, you brood of vampires, vipers. He calls them snakes and vipers. How will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore, I am sending you prophets and sages and teachers. Some of them you will kill and crucify, others you will flog in the synagogues and pursue from town to town. And so upon you will come all of the righteous blood that has been shed on earth, from the blood of righteousness, Abel, to the blood of Zacharias, son of Bechal, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you, all this will come onto this generation. You have spiritual people that have been honest in their awakening. They've showed you both sides of themselves. Their struggle to get to this place. They have not just built their life on money. And I'm telling you right now, you better double fucking check who you think is your spiritual guide. Literally, Jesus Christ himself says, do not call anyone father. That blew my mind. I went to Catholic school. My entire, basically second grade through most of high school, I did have 2 different high schools, but I went to Catholic school for well over 8 years. No one ever mentioned that line in the Bible. We were instructed to call our priests father. That right there is proof they are the same Pharisees that murdered Jesus Christ and are coming after spiritually enlightened people. Check yourself.